All right. Greetings to everyone. Good day, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time zone you're watching this recorded video. Now, for today, we are going to talk about the kinds of speech. But the thing is, what is a speech? Right? So, before moving forward on the kinds of speeches or the kinds of speech, allow me to say to you speech is the communication or an expression of thoughts and spoken words, or it could be an exchange of spoken words or in a conversation. Okay, or speech is something that is spoken, meaning an utterance, or it could be a usual public discourse, meaning to say an address, or a speech is a language or a dialect. Okay, so for this day, we are going to talk about the different kinds of speeches according to purpose, such as informative, persuasive, argumentative, and the kinds of speeches or kinds of speech according to delivery, such as read, memorized, impromptu, and extemporaneous. Okay, to start with, the kinds of speech according to purpose, we are going to talk about informative speech, including the steps on how to make one, and of course, examples. Persuasive, and the last one is argumentative. So we are going to talk about the different steps and salient characteristics of each of the speeches according to purpose and how it must be done in creating an informative, persuasive, and an argumentative speech with examples. To start with, we are going to talk about informative speech first. Now, according to Osborne in 1988, an informative speech gives rather than asks or takes, meaning to say the demands of the audience are very low as the learners are asked to attend, to comprehend, to understand, to assimilate, but not to change their beliefs and behaviors. For example, of informative speech topics are technology and healthcare, the impact of food consumption on health, psychological disorders, for example, such as causes and its impact. Okay, and it could be treatment of, or sorry, it could be a treatment of chronic ailments, the importance of a balanced diet, for example, and many more. Okay, so the thing that we have to consider when we are going to make an informative speech are the four types of informative speeches or in creating informative speeches. Number one is an informative speech can be a descriptive, meaning to say the speech that helps the audience develop specific images and understands of particular people, places, or things. For example, you might deliver an information or an informative speech in a particular region of the world, meaning to say you are describing. All right. Another one is demonstrative. Demonstrative speech describes how to perform a specific action. For example, you want to demonstrate to your audience on how to set up their new MacBook Pro, okay? Or it could be in how to cook or how to prepare salad, for example. So all of those things asking for a demonstration or performance belongs to a demonstrative information or informative speech. Okay, moving forward the third for the third type of informative speech, which is explanation. This speech explains a topic. For example, you want to explain the current state of affairs with the election processes. Okay, so meaning to say you are explaining the phenomenon, the processes, the activities, the event, and even an incident or accident that is happening. Okay, and then the last one is definition. This type of speech actually will require a more in-depth topic. Why? Because you are explaining a concept of theory. For example, you might define photosynthesis and explain its impact on the ecosystem. Okay, so it could be that in your major, you could have a lot of definition or technical terms that is used for your major subjects. Okay, so that is why when you are going to define or informing the public or informing or making your own information or informative speech, you are going to consider if your speech is purely describing, or you are trying to demonstrate something, or you are trying to explain or expound the idea, or you are going to give the definition. It could be operational or it could be by context. Okay, so what you're going to consider are the things or the 5 steps for writing an informative speech. Number one is you have to choose a precise topic. You have to choose a precise topic, which means to say you are going to focus only one clear topic, which you think that is in your level of vocabulary. I mean to say that is you're very passionate about when you are going to write, when you are going to get interested into that kind of topic. So you could have, or you could be able to share to the public or to the mass or inform them what is it all about. Okay. The next thing is to draft an effective thesis statement. That thesis statement is your boundary or is your gauge in creating an informative speech so that it will lead you as to where you are going to start until where you are going to end. Okay, so it will tell you of your scope of the informative speech. It could be that along the way you are in the right track, but because you are not focusing in your thesis statement, you will be roaming around the bush. I mean to say you are giving too much information, which is no longer effective to the audience. Remember, you're delivering a speech, an informative one, which is sometimes, remember, an audience has a very limited attention span. So when at times you are giving informative speech, it must be quick, it must be clear and concise. So you are going to focus or draft an effective thesis statement. Okay. The next one is to consider your crowd. This is the one that I told you earlier that you're going to consider your audience, the age, the mood of the audience, and of course the number of audience in the area. So if you think your audience is around 60s or and above or belonging to an old age, so probably by informing you have to talk slower. I mean to say, slow your pacing, okay, so that they could be able to understand more. Or when you think your learners are already or in higher or in advanced level, so probably your choices of words, the language that you use, the gestures that you're using are technically should suit to the level of the audience that you are trying to deliver your speech. So consider your crowd, consider your audience. All right. Number 4 is to start your outline. In everything that you're going to do, you always have to make your own outline because this is your direction or your scaffolding as it goes. This is your map that you are going to reach to your destination. When you want to say something about or informing about this pandemic, about issues about political and cultural and social and educational issues in the Philippines, then it must be with outline because this will give you a direction from where and how you are going to treat the audience and how you are going to deliver the speeches. Okay. For number 5, that is what we call end with a call to action. All right. Because you're informing, mean to say you are delivering or you are giving information to the public, to the mass, to the crowd, to the audience, then it is really effective if you are leaving them with a challenge, a call to action, a respond to the phenomenon, a challenge to respond and to be resilient and to be responsible in responding to social, political, economic, and educational issues in the Philippines. Okay, so all of those things boils down to informing and of course giving them or ending your speeches with a call to action. Okay, so next is about persuasive speech. Now, persuasive speech, it actually a persuasive speaking that is the process of producing oral messages that increase personal commitment, modify beliefs, attitudes, or even values. For example, a teenager attempting to convince her parents that she needs to be able to stay out until 11 p.m. instead of 10 p.m. Hanging out with friends, going out with friends. Okay? Did you experience that? All right. How about a student council president trying to convince the school administrators to allow the students to have a dance after the final football game of the season? Or should I say, long before it go, to allow the students to have a casual attire or a rest day of the uniform? Okay, so there is this kind of persuasion from a person or from an administration or from a group of people. All right. So what are the steps that you are going to or you are going to um, perform in order to create a persuasive speech? Number one is you are going to select a topic and angle. Meaning to say, come up with a very controversial issue. Come up with a controversial topic, one that will spawn heated debates regardless of your position. Okay, that sounds interesting, right? Number two, define your persuasive goal, meaning how should be the speech goes and what do you expect your how do you expect your audience to get after the speech? Okay, for number three, analyze the audience. Always analyze the audience. Meaning to say, involve the audience in your speech. Include your personal views in the matter that is relatable to real life situations, relatable to your audience, relatable to the crowd. Okay. Number four, build an effective persuasive argument. How you are going to build one. Now, involve the audience in speech and of course in building an effective persuasive argument. It must be clear and concise and whose weight, meaning to say the supporting details must be evident based and is substantial. Okay. And number five, you are going to deliver a very winning speech if you could be able to establish your argument and your supporting evidences. Okay? So possible lists lang or speech topics when you are going to deal with argumentative speeches, such as technology is making people less creative. Is that so? In what way? Okay. So how about this one? Guns should be made illegal. Is it? Should it be legal or should it be made illegal? How about that? Next, minors should be tried for murders at any age. Okay. How about the human rights? What can they say about this? How about human beings are being slaves of modern technology? Are you? Are we? Are we that slave? Are we in that level now? Okay. How about organ donation should be mandatory? Okay. How about health risks of smoking are exaggerated? And the last one that I can give to you, a topic that is about vaccination should be compulsory. Okay. Where is our freedom of thinking, our will? So if we're going to build a persuasive speech in those matter or on those subjects, now how are you going to build that following on the steps that I presented to you? Okay, that is to select a topic and an angle, define your persuasive goal, analyze the audience, build an effective persuasive argument, and deliver a winning speech. Okay, so along with that um, along with that actually is okay. The parts of an effective speech. Number one is to consider the audience and background information. Okay, this is for argumentative speech, by the way. Okay, and then next is to provide thesis statements and support details, such as your refutation of opposing viewpoints. Okay, so key is supporting details based from evidences, real life scenarios. Okay, the last one is to conclude with impact. Again, for information or informative speech, you are going to end with a call of action. For argumentative speech, since you are arguing, then it must be in the concluding part, or the conclusion part must end with impact, meaning to say you go back to the thesis statement and assert or made a decision or judgment from the thesis statement that you made. Okay, so when you are creating this thesis statement, make sure that it answers the query, or it answers to what you are trying to say. Okay, and then look for supporting details and then end it with an impact. Okay, so that's it for informative speech. And that is another one. The other one is um, persuasive speech, and the last one is argumentative speech. Now let's move on to the kinds of speech according to delivery. Were you able to deliver a speech already when you were in high school, or when you are having your English classes? Did you deliver your own speeches? How did you do that? Wow, congratulations, you made it right. You made it. Sometimes it takes some time, it takes a courage and a will to present a speech, to talk in front, most especially when you are delivering your persuasive and argumentative speech. Okay, but in what way? What are the things that you did? Was it through reading? Did you read the manuscript? Did you memorize the manuscript? I mean to say, did you present it extemporaneously? Okay, so let's try to find out. What are the kinds of speech according to delivery? Number one is read. Second is memorized. Third is impromptu. And the fourth is extemporaneous. Okay, so for read speech, this has something to do with the reading from a manuscript in a manner of speaking, whereas written speech is read and delivered word for word. For example, State of the Nation address. Okay, political campaign. Okay, for memorized speech, this is basically the mastered and delivered entirely from memory. This kind of speech requires a considerable memory skill in order not to forget your presentation. Okay, the third one is impromptu, which means that the speaker develops his ideas or your ideas, your thoughts and knowledge, and of course the language at the moment of delivery, such as during class recitations, during Socratic method applied by your teacher, meaning to say there is this question and answer portion during the delivery of instruction. Okay, the fourth one is extemporaneous, which means this is a speech where the topics of ideas are prepared beforehand. However, the speaker will compose his views and language only at the moment of delivery during contests and extemporaneous. Did you watch? Have you watched? Or are you included to the participants or to the speakers? How was the experience as audience and as speakers? Okay, were there instances that you were so stressed out and you forgot your lines? Okay, so how did you prepared before the presentation, before the conduct of the extemporaneous speech? Okay, was it memorable? All right, so all of those questions probably are all in your mind that may somehow reflect to the kind of preparation that you had. Now, when you are going to deliver something, make sure that you are prepared. Always come to contests, to class, or to speeches, or during the conduct of the speech prepared. Meaning to say, whether it is to say with whether it is memorized or it is impromptu or extemporaneous, you are going to prepare yourselves by how you're going to read topics. You are going to increase your vocabulary building, okay, your vocabularies, meaning the words that you have in your mind, so as when during the delivery, you could be able to produce the words well and spontaneously. Okay, so the next thing that you are going to do this time, I hope you are so familiar with the kinds of speeches according to purpose and according to delivery. Now, the next thing that I'm going to tell you is to do the brush up exercise. That is to watch two English speeches. That is in any kind. I mean to say, you are going to look into YouTube different speeches that is about of your choice that you're very passionate about. It could be a motivational one, it could be about English, it could be about environmental awareness, or it could be about gender and development programs as mandated by the commission. From the yes, from the Commission on Higher Education, that is to include the gender and development programs in the integration of the different topics and of course in the delivery of the instruction. So you can jump into those topics. Okay, so as long as it is of your interests, meaning to say you are very passionate about in about the YouTube video. Okay, and then write down in the table provided, such as in the table shown below, the points raised in speech. Okay, it could be that there are noticeable purposes that the speaker is trying to deliver, such as for speech number one, title of the speech and the name of the speaker, and then followed by the link. And then the second column, the points raised, meaning to say, just give at least three giveaways or points or topics that he is trying to highlight, or what are the things that he is trying to say. At least three topics, okay, or at least three thoughts or ideas or assertions that he is or she is trying to convey. And then the purpose, what do you think are the purpose of why he is integrating globalization in the topic, okay, and so on and so forth. So there must be two links or two speeches that you are going to analyze using these template that I gave to you. Okay, and then after watching, you are going to identify then if there are any differences and similarities between the two speeches. Okay, you can also use TED Talks and motivational videos, Goldcast, for example, Lisa Nicole's videos, Oprah Winfrey, Steve Harvey's, Brian Tracy's videos, so that you could be able to um, accomplish this brush up exercise. Now, this is actually to test your way of dissecting the material as to how these people prepare their speeches. Does it because of does this video have impact to you because of the editing skill, or it add flavors to the whole, to the totality of the video, or maybe because they are really preparing something. For Brian Tracy, he has a lot of ways and techniques on how to be an effective speaker. Then probably you could jump into his his assertions and ideas in becoming a great speaker. Okay. All right. So I hope you've learned something today about the different speeches according to purpose and according to delivery. Now, for your sharpen up exercises or activities, you are going to look for partner. Okay, you're going to look for partner and compose a short speech on a topic of your choice. Meaning to say, this speech could be informative, argumentative, or persuasive. Then record your speech and upload it in an unlisted video on YouTube and share the link to me. Okay, so this is a challenge for everybody. Now, I'm very hopeful that you could be able to accomplish this one. Now, visit Google Classroom for more information. All right, so I hope you've learned something today about the different kinds of speeches according to purpose and delivery. So, wherever you are, whoever you are with, I'm Pink and Unite. Bye, and see you to the next recorded video.